Hi guys, I have written copy for some of the biggest communities on the entire Skool platform. I've helped 4 communities win the games, and I have written welcome sequences for over 10 different communities, helping them generate hundreds of thousands of dollars. Atena, for example, I wrote a welcome sequence for her back in November. She was making $29,000 a month when I started working with her. She ended by winning the Skool games, coming in #1, making $315,000 at the end of that month. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what should be in each one of your emails, how long your welcome sequence should be. We're going to dive into all the details so that you can warm up the members in your free community and get them into your paid. This is one of the most influential parts of your copy that you can have incorporated into your Skool community. It's so important, and some communities are not even doing it, or they're doing it all wrong. They're using ChatGPT, they're using some templatized welcome sequence. I'm going to show you guys how to write a welcome sequence that's actually going to resonate with your audience. All right, so this is going to be the ultimate welcome sequence guide to create killer welcome sequences for Skool communities. We're going to dive into the power of email, and then specifically how those emails look in this sequence that is basically going to people that are just getting to know you, just getting to know your offer, and you want to warm them up in a series of emails so that by the end, they're ready to buy your paid. Understanding the power of a welcome sequence. First impressions matter. This is the first time a member is hearing from you after they join your free community outside of Skool, right? So it's a chance to make a lasting impression, and you really want to get that first email right and then continue to build on that tone that you set in the first email. And it's going to influence whether your lead actually opens emails that you send out in the future. So this is really important to get right. It's going to build trust early on. So you really want to nurture them, and you want to fulfill the promises that you made them. When they joined your community, they expected something. So we're going to get into how you do that. But really fostering a sense of community throughout the sequence is going to be crucial. And conversions. The welcome sequence is designed to lead to conversions, right? So the welcome sequence is going to take people through this persuasive journey so that by the end of it, they are ready to buy from you, okay? If you're not using emails, by the way, you are sitting on a pile of gold. Like, good news and bad news. There's a lot of money on the table that you are not taking advantage of, and you could be. Because think about all the risks that come with other types of audiences. Maybe you've built an audience on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever, but like you're basically relying on an algorithm to promote your content and send it out. And if you post a bad piece of content, sometimes it hurts every other piece of content that you post. So the cool thing about an email is that you own it, you control it, and you can print money with it. Some of my best clients are making like 20% of all their revenues coming from email, by the way. So that's like huge. To craft an engaging welcome sequence, you want to have a personal touch. So that's why you can't use AI. You can't use just like templates. You really need this to feel like it's coming from you. You want to talk to your audience the way you talk to them on an onboarding call or talk to them on a coaching call, and use conversational language and address the member by name. So that's the first thing in your email. Address them by name and express genuine excitement about them joining, right? So then you're going to set some expectations. Clearly outline the purpose of that email. Like, I like to justify every time I send an email in that first sentence and give them an expectation of what they're going to receive from you, the value they're going to get, so that they actually are anticipating the next emails. And you, by the way, should do that in every single email, kind of allude to what's coming in the next one. All right. Your first email should remind them why the heck they joined your free community in the first place, right? So like, let's say you are a fitness influencer, you get people to join your community by posting on your Instagram story, want my 10-step checklist to getting a 6-pack. And then people opt in, they say, you're like, write 6-pack below and I'll send it to you. They say 6-pack, you send a link to your free community, they join. Now that free community, or that free community, the email and the actual deliverable of that free community now is to give them that checklist. That was a lead magnet. It was designed to get them into the community, but you have to actually fulfill on it now. So you want to keep that trust by doing what you said you were going to do. So that first email should be like, hey, like, welcome to, the fitness blueprint. So excited that you're here with us. Here's that 6-pack, checklist that you asked for. Shoot me a response if you have any questions. We'll get into like exactly what else should be in that first email, but the goal is to fulfill on the promise, to welcome them, get them excited, and then also get them to respond, because that's going to help get your emails to land in their like primary tab, right? Okay. So get them with a good subject. This goes for every single email in your welcome sequence. You want either a shocking story, shocking study. You want to use relevant research to surprise and engage members. Counterintuitive claims, so maybe something that's like a little bit contradictory to what like common belief is. And then powerful stories. Share relatable stories that connect with members' experiences. Storytelling is the best marketing because it puts people in the right frame of mind. It allows you to overcome objections super naturally. So now your goal is to start getting calls booked, sales made throughout the sequence. But that's not email number 1, that's throughout. So that's the key word there, throughout the sequence. And give them what they opted for in immediately. We just said this, fulfilling your promise. Get them to reply, because it tells Gmail they're not, like, you're not spamming them. You're an actual trusted sender. They want to get emails from you. So you want to have some kind of a prompt, like you respond with your best question. I read all of my emails, or you could literally say, we want to make sure you get future emails so you can get all these juicy tips. Just send me some random letters, or send me a random emoji, or send me a one sentence description of how your 2025 is going so far. Just get them to actually respond. And also, it kind of builds a relationship psychologically. If they're engaging with you now, they have more of a connection to you. So that's really awesome. And then here's a hint. For most Skool communities, Skool spelled wrong there. For most Skool communities, you're going to want to give them the lead magnet first, and any CTA to book a call is going to be after that, and that's going to be about 80% of your emails. Especially if you're this is assuming you're doing onboarding calls to sell people into your paid. If you're not, then you could have CTAs to content, value CTAs, and then a CTA at the end to actually make the sale. But right now, we're not doing any CTAs to make a direct sale. Okay, that's going to come later on. So the welcome email, this is email number 1, deliver promised content and then set expectations. Then you're gonna have a 0 to hero email. You wanna share a transformation story, maybe a soft pitch to book a call. Hey, if you wanna learn how I accomplished X, Y, Z after you share your story, book a call here and I'll give you my full blueprint, right? And then the problem aware emails, that's gonna highlight some problems and potential solutions. Best way to go about this is go onto Instagram, go onto Reddit, and go onto ChatGPT and find out what are the most common searches, excuses, and problems your audience is facing, and how can you overcome those in these emails. And you're just gonna go in sequential order. So solution-aware emails are gonna position your solution as the best option. So you now have talked about all the problems, you talked about the objections, maybe overcame some of them. Now you wanna provide your solution. And then product-aware emails, this is where you're differentiating your product from competitors, showing them what you offer that other people don't, why you're different. Maybe it's your personality, maybe it's the style of coaching, maybe it's, this process that's, 10 times faster. Maybe you're a fitness coach who doesn't require strict dieting, or maybe you don't require working out, or something different about you, right? And it could just be that you're super niche, by the way. So then you're going to go into social proof emails, share customer transformations, and the final email is the pitch. So that's where you actually sell. That's where you're going to, promote your paid community. And you can either do that again through a call, but you at this point have nurtured them to the point that you can pitch. And we're going to get into the actual nitty gritty of what that looks like. Here's a little visual layout of it. The email marketing sequence starts with the welcome, 0 to hero. Yeah. And this is the whole process of just warming them up, really making them feel like they can trust you, feel like there's a connection, a relationship built, and you've also kind of unconsciously overcome everything that would have held them back from making that purchasing decision. Okay, so now, firstly, how long should this welcome sequence be, right? Because there's a lot of different opinions on this. You'll get, welcome sequences that are 30 days long. You'll get welcome sequences that are 5. I've written both. So it honestly is kind of nuanced to answer this. A 5 to 14 day sequence is a sweet spot, I would say, for most Skool communities and most businesses. It's enough that you are building trust and you're demonstrating value, but not so long that people are oh my gosh, dude, what are you doing? And under 5 days, you're kind of rushing it. If you have a welcome sequence that's less than 5 emails, I would recommend just not pitching, or just pitch to a call, because 5 days, if you're just going straight into a pitch, that's really rushing the relationship and it's going to burn some of that goodwill. Over 14 days, you're either taking a strategy of nurturing a ton, likely to sell directly through email, or you just want to provide a ton of value to justify the length, because you do have to justify that length. So it could just be kind of newsletter style. You send a bunch of value with just soft CTAs, and then at the end you have a CTA. Max, for example, has a much longer welcome sequence than a lot of the communities I've written welcome sequences for, and he's able to sell directly in the email because he nurtures them so much. So the sequence length should match your price point and complexity. A $47 product does not need as long of a welcome sequence, but a $2,000 coaching program is probably going to need at least a couple weeks. So if you want to sell directly. So this is what you want to do throughout this welcome sequence. You want to identify the problems of your audience. You can go on, you can search keywords on Reddit and see what are people actually saying. From anonymous accounts, what are they saying? What are the words they're using? That way you can get inside their head, use the words they use the verbiage, the language, and address the specific concerns they have. And you can also do that by going onto social media, looking at the comments. That's what I do for a lot of my clients. Or you can just ask ChatGPT, what are trending searches around this subject? And then solve those problems sequentially. So usually in a series of problems, one is going to lead to another. You want to solve those in sequential order in the welcome sequence. So you're not going bouncing around in your client's mind. You are going from one problem to the next, to the next, to the next, to the sale. And then identify objections so you can overcome those. overcome them, and then the CTA for either booking a call or, by this point at the end, you may just be CTAing them to join your community. So email 1 is where the trust is built. This is where you give them that freebie that you promised them. It's a template, a free training, a strategy call, resource, or some type of value related to the niche in your community, helping them solve a problem and get a win like right off the bat. So yeah, this email does not have to be a CTA, but if it does, it should only be to add more value, okay? Set the tone for the rest of the sequence. You want to give the promised content, set the stage for what's to come, allude to problems you're going to solve, but don't necessarily solve them in this email. Show them what they can expect, and engagement here is key because we really want to get that deliverability good. So we kind of went over that. Next, you're going to want to establish some trust and credibility. So remember I mentioned a 0 to hero story. This is where you highlight your expertise. Kind of like I did at the beginning of this video. Like I told you the people I'd helped, the results I'd gotten them, what I personally had accomplished. And that just shows why you should trust me to teach on emails, because I've written emails for some of the top communities on Skool. But like that's so crucial in a welcome sequence because you're about to go solve their problems. They need a reason to believe that your solution is actually tested and true. So that could be based on your story or stories of other people, but just demonstrate your knowledge and establish some authority. Community values, you want to showcase some core values and principles that guide the community. And this is really crucial. I don't even have it written here, but you want to almost create an identity for your free community so that when people join, they take on this new identity and it's basically like creating this journey for them where the next step is just that they inevitably join the paid because it's part of their identity. So that's just kind of like a psychology thing. I like to use email number 2 on, like not just number 2, but number 2 through the rest of the sequence to share that 0 to hero story because I will reference it in a lot of emails, not just number 2. But basically this establishes the credibility and authority in your niche. So it shows them that you can solve their personal problem, but also shows that you've solved other people's problems while building belief by showing them like where you started. Because a lot of people just think you're special. They think, oh, you accomplished XYZ, you got a 6-pack or you made 10K or whatever because you had something I don't have. But when you share your story, that typically is going to show them that you didn't have anything they didn't have. So yeah, either the lowest point or the highest point of your story will make a good hook for this, for the subject line. 6 months ago, I was homeless. Like that would be a really good hook. That's a really low point if you experience that. Or I make $45,000 every month and I don't even have one employee. That would be like a really high point. Like most people making $45K a month have a bunch of employees and most people just are not making $45K a month. So like that's a crazy high, but you can relate this to things that doesn't have to be this extreme, but that's just an example of like, this could be one story and you could use either of these as a hook, but you want the hook to tie into the first sentence of the email to reaffirm that. So they don't feel like they've been like clickbaited. And then you'll go into the other side of the story. So if you start with a low point, like 6 months ago, I was homeless. Maybe you'd be like, the first sentence of the emails was like, I was eating out of garbage cans. And then the next sentence is going to be like, now I drive a Porsche or something. Like you go into the other extreme. One day I'll drive a Porsche. But next, build some trust by sharing your struggles. This shows the reader you're not special, which you're not. You probably just took actions most people didn't. Anybody could do that. And that is the goal of your community, is to show people that they can accomplish what you accomplished. So build belief by sharing your struggles, and you want to maintain super conversational tones throughout this email as if you're telling a story to a friend. So a great way to do this is to literally just record an audio message to yourself, explaining this like as if you were just talking to like your brother or your mom or whatever, and just use casual language so it doesn't feel like you're like talking down to them. And yeah, so the low point hook goes into the trials and tribulations, gift of goddess, where you kind of like have that breakthrough moment. You reveal the solution, talk about the current situation that you're at now, how like, how great your life is, the picture of like after this transformation you went through, and then have a soft call to action of how they can get the same things you got, right? Okay, so the next type of emails, now your audience is aware of their problem, they trust you, and we need to educate them on the solution. There's no perfect length to this welcome sequence, by the way. Like we already said that. This is going to depend a lot, but this portion might be longer if you have if you have a very high ticket offer. I'm going to go back to this point actually. Like the length for your welcome sequence for a high ticket offer is probably going to be a bit longer, but if you have a lower ticket $12 community, you don't need to talk so much about the solution. It's probably going to be pretty straightforward. But you want to grab the attention with a short gut punch sentence that relates to a specific struggle or alludes to a mini story or shocking statement. And when getting to the meat of the email, you need to continue to build on intrigue. So you need a series of hooks. One hook is not enough anymore. We live in an attention economy where TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, the radio, everything is like fighting for people's attention. So you need to continue hooking them with like really short, punchy sentences. You want to amplify the problem, describe the exact problem they're facing in all of these emails, and show the consequences of not solving it. Show them what their life could look like if they don't take whatever action you need them to take. Susan knew without a fitness plan, she faced the same fate her parents suffered, type 2 diabetes. You could talk about how horrible Susan's parents' life was because they didn't take action. They didn't drink enough water or take enough steps or whatever. They didn't, walk enough. They didn't eat clean. And this is what their life looks like now. Susan did XYZ to avoid that. And this is what her life looks like now. She's, going for runs every week. She's fitter than she's ever been. She fits into like this size or whatever. But yeah, you can either go like the dark way, which is like painting the future nightmare. This is what we just talked about, making it visceral and relatable. And then you go into the solution after that, or you can just go straight to the dream. But usually a combination of these is going to be the best. So if you go straight to the dream, you're talking about the solution mechanism and presenting your unique approach. You're not going to reveal the solution fully. You're going to build that curiosity. So that's called like curiosity gap or curiosity loop. You want to just continue like alluding to the results of your solution, but not telling them how to actually do it. Example, that's when I showed her the 3-step method that changed her life or something like that. Would be alluding to what the 3-step message is, but not actually breaking down like the components of it. And then explain, you will kind of still go back to this dark situation of like, this is what happens if you don't, take action. And that is not a CTA, by the way. You're not linking your paid there. You're just alluding to the problem and the solution. Okay. Highlighting the problems your specific offer solves. So when you're doing this, you want to use very visual language. You want to actually like talk about what their day-to-day, like an actual situation in their day-to-day life. Relate to the reader's current situation, get super specific, and paint a picture with your words. That, by the way, is something ChatGPT cannot do. So if you can learn how to paint a picture with your words, and I'll give an example in a second, that is going to immediately feel so much more personalized because everyone else is just using ChatGPT and it sucks. You want to provide enough value to solve one in a series of problems, alluding to more value you have to offer. So back to the visual language, like let's say the message you're trying to communicate is that Susan lost weight, right? So you could say Susan lost 10 pounds, or you could say Susan got up that morning feeling more energized than ever and walked over to her scale. She stepped on a little bit nervous and she looked down and couldn't believe the number she saw. She ran to her closet, tried on a pair of pants that she hadn't worn in 6 months, and guess what? For the first time in over 6 months, she was able to button the clasp or whatever. Like that's super visual to say the same thing that like you could have just said Susan lost weight, but it's way more interesting to listen to because you can paint that picture in your mind. They're like watching a movie as you speak. All right. So you can start with a negative hook, elaborate and describe the negative consequences. This is like a PAS format. This goes for, by the way, every email in your welcome sequence. Then you introduce a solution, a soft CTA, benefits and future pacing. So you list out a bunch of the benefits provided by your solution and what their life will look like because of that solution. And then the CTA is going to direct them to your landing page. So this is once you've gotten to the point where you're actually pitching a bit. But this CTA, honestly, probably should still just put them in a call unless you have a really low ticket offer. Okay. So you're building the leverage or this is where you're leveraging. You've already built the trust and you're leveraging that trust to show them why you're different and actually pitch. And people believe you because you just spent 5 to 10 emails actually helping them. So the product aware emails just kind of like showcase your excellence, your authority in the space. The hook is just highlighting your unique benefits. The comparison explains how you're different, what your mechanism is that sets you apart from competition. And the CTA is telling the reader to take action. Like I just gave you all this value, showed you XYZ. This is what you should do now. Okay. Now we're going to get to the end of the email sequence. You have built rapport, established your credibility, overcome objections, added value to your audience, stacked goodwill, given them a million reasons to buy, and now it's time to sell. Okay? So you want to make sure that all of these components are in your email sequence before you sell. The urgency, confidence, direct references, so the stories that you've, shared about yourself or students. You've established authority by just like giving them a ton of value, and now you're at the decision focus where you're going to actually close them. Okay? So reflecting back on that sequence, before I tell you how to pitch, 85% was pure value. So 85% of the time, you're just like solving problems, focusing on helping and educating your members. 3/4 of the CTAs were soft, and that's just, helping you position yourself as a value to them, as someone that they should actually pay attention to, emails that they should actually open because you're not trying to pitch them all the time. And 40% plus open rates are what you should be looking for. So you want to spend 80% of your time on the hook so that you can really get people to open the email, because otherwise they never see the rest. And then you want to actually make sure the quality of the email is good as well. So 80% on the hook, 20% on the body. Okay, nurturing new members. Guided results. Remember, if you actually add value and solve problems in this free welcome sequence, it proves the increased value of your paid offer. And encourage engagement. Foster a sense of belonging. Write personalized emails that gets them to engage back in your free community. This is like a flywheel. The email should be getting them to engage in the free community, engage with your content, and just hear from you more. So this is going to spark more interaction, more call bookings, and hot leads long term. Because some people won't buy from the welcome sequence. Most people won't. And that's fine, because they should be more engaged and more excited about your free community after going through the welcome sequence. Okay? So, yeah, maximum engagement is going to be like space out the sales pitches, build your trust first, use storytelling, and address awareness levels. So we talked about those all throughout this sequence. Now it's time to position the CTA as a favor, right? Because you've illustrated the problem so much that now your CTA is like, you're doing them a favor no matter how much you're charging. It's like a gift. It should feel like you are literally giving them a gift. Introduce the concept of a discovery call and its value to helping members. So this is honestly like throughout the whole email, you want to position the CTA as like a favor to them. Your strategy call is actually giving them value, even if there's a pitch in it. And it has, like, if you're not giving value on your strategy calls, then why are you doing them? Like, that's just going to burn you long term. So schedule ease, make booking a call as simple as possible. Like, whatever your CTA is, booking a call or, buying directly, it has to be super simple for them. Okay, so track performance. When you're looking at your welcome sequence, use analytics to track key metrics like open rates, click-through rates, and conversion rates, so that, like, if you're seeing really bad click-through rates or really bad open rates, maybe your subject needs to change, maybe your CTA needs to change, maybe you need a little more nurturing. But if you're not tracking those on GHL or whatever you're using for your emails, you're going to really set yourself back, because you're not even going to know if it's working or not. You're just going to be like, why am I getting no sales? And it's going to be because, like, one component is missing or one link is broken. So iterate and improve continuously, refine your welcome sequence based on those insights so that you can get the most amount of sales, the most amount of engagement, and the happiest customers possible through. Okay guys, so that is exactly how to write a welcome sequence that your audience is going to love. It's going to build trust, and long term is going to lead to a lot more revenue for you and a lot more goodwill in your audience. Hopefully that's valuable. If you guys want to see me actually write these sequences live, if you want to see the actual structures, the templates that I have, there's a free community link below. You can jump in there and go get some free value. And if you guys want to work with me, there's another link in there to book a call. That's for communities that are already doing 20K plus per month. But hopefully this is valuable to you, and I will see you guys in the next video.